Jasmine's afraid Ariana's going to get it, so Jasmine's going to come to me, and I'm the boss. Jasmine's going to come to me and say, you know, Ariana's been late 3 times, and you know, and maybe this and maybe that, and maybe embellish it a little bit, and you know, she really doesn't want this position. Because why? Because she's afraid that she won't get it. So we think that by telling a truth that in our mind is a truth, but not really a truth, right? And we call it a white lie because she's really not going to get hurt by it, right? We call it a white lie. But the truth is the reason that she's talking to me is because she's afraid she's not going to get it. Yes or no, that happens a lot. Yeah. You now cannot be the same person. You cannot go out there into this world anymore now that you have been given the teachings of the yamas and SAtYA and do things you're not supposed to do or say things you're not supposed to say because you know full well that you are actually doing something that is edging God out. You are an ego. Right? So be careful, because sometimes we think that things are things that aren't really the big deal. That doesn't matter. You've got to live in integrity. What did I tell you integrity was? Do you remember?
Doing what you say you're going to do.
Doing what you say you're going to do, even when nobody's watching. Even when nobody's watching. That's the key. So don't say you're going to go and do your homework, and then if nobody's home, you sit down and watch TV. Because you're living out of integrity. So the truth is, integrity is doing what you say you're going to do even when nobody's watching. And those of us that have faith, we all know that, you know, those of us that are religious, well, who's watching us all the time?
God.
So ain't nobody watching, right? No human. But the universe is always watching us. The universe is always studying us. The universe is always needing to study us because it will send us more of what we actually put out. So if you're acting and lying, you're going to get lies and action and acting people, you know, to come into your life. So SAtYA is extremely important. You tell the truth up until you know it's going to hurt somebody. Then if it's going to hurt somebody, you don't say anything. And if they bug you, you look for something else to say. You look for something else to say. Or you say, I plead the fifth. On the grounds it might incriminate me. Thank you very much. And I leave. Yes?
What if they like get mad at you?
Well, you know what? Then they got 2 jobs. One to get mad and one to get happy. Basically, that is not for you to decide. You're God. Right? So that's not up to you. That's not up to you. It's on them. And it's happened before. It's happened before. Right? People will force you to say things, but you've got to remember, if you live by this, they're going to realize that. They're going to respect you more. They'll come around. They'll come around. Let me give you an example. One that is very personal. So a friend of mine lived with me. She was a roommate of mine, and she was doing cocaine. I don't do cocaine. I may act like it sometimes, but I don't do it. So I knew what she was doing, and she was doing math, and she was doing some other things that don't align with me, right? And this was when I was in my early 20s. So I said to her, I'm very sorry, but you're going to have to leave. Because what you're doing isn't in alignment with me. And if you don't leave, I will leave. So you've got a choice. I'm giving you a choice. Would you like to stay with the apartment, or would you like to go ahead and leave and move your way? Right? And then she says to me, well, who told you? Who told you I was doing all of that? If I would have told her, the person that told me would have been hurt. Right? So I said to her, I'm going to be honest. I think that information is something that you really don't need right now. So she was angry. Very angry. She stayed angry for 10 years. She didn't talk to me for 10 years. But I had done the right thing. I knew that the girl that told me was her other best friend. And I knew that if I told her, not only would I be hurting her, but I would be hurting the other best friend. Do you see that? So I just said, guess what? I don't think that information is going to help you right now. Yeah, she was angry. Did I do the right thing? Yes, I did. Do I wish that she would have talked to me and that she wouldn't have gotten mad? Yes, but that was not me. That was not for me to decide. The situation was completely, and I left it and I surrendered it to God. I said, dear God, I surrender the situation to you. Help me to follow the guidelines that I will live. And he did. And I did. 10 years later, she comes back, knocks on my door, and I went, oh, whoa, where'd you come from? And she goes, I want to apologize. I want to apologize for the way I behaved 10 years ago. I want you back in my life. I want to be friends. I'm cleaned up. I'm straight. I said, arms open. Arms open. Because I'm not one to judge. Right? So does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's an example of what happened to me. Did it take a lot of courage to do that? Heck yeah. And let me tell you why it took a lot of courage. Because this woman was 10 years older than me. This woman gave me money left and right anytime I wanted money. This woman, if I said I needed to have my car payment done, she would just drop money at my way. She just showered me with money. I never needed anything. Right? I could have allowed my ego to step in and say, oh, well, you know, I want that money. If I tell her no and she doesn't talk to me, then I'll never have that money again. Right? I could have been there. And that's what ego wants, right? But you've got to decide, do you live in integrity even when no one's watching? And one of my biggest values and my only values, I will always live in integrity. Nobody was watching me, but I did the right thing. Right? The next month after she left, I was having a heck of a time coming up with my own car payment, but I did it. Right? So it wasn't about the ego. I was out of ego. So that's what you got to do, guys. You now know the teachings of the yogic way, of this journey. This is a new journey for you because it's very different than what society wants you to do. Right? Society wants you to do something else. Right? And this is one of the reasons that many people think that yoga is a religion. It's not a religion. I'm not asking you to go home, light a candle,